quick video into the whole foundation of backlinking, or simply the first backlinks you should be doing towards any of your money sites itself. The main ones people will generally be using when it comes to getting traffic or getting sales. You can get a little, you can get a big amount. It completely depends on what effort you're willing to put into it and how much money you can invest. The basic ones you really need in all your sites is Facebook, Twitter. Tumblr itself is sort of okay. It's the sort of thing I would add in as a possible. You won't. I don't really find it as good as it used to, but you may find use in it. LinkedIn itself, YouTube. I'm also finding it quite good at the moment so far from what I'm testing. VK. In case you don't know, VK is like a Russian version of Facebook. YouTube as well, and these should be sufficient for your site or your website, your money sites, that kind of stuff. You could include more, you could include less, but these are basic ones you need. You should get a few, when you start off any site, you try and get a few Facebook likes, but please remember, Facebook likes don't guarantee money, they don't guarantee sales. It just looks a bit more natural Google eyes if you've got some Facebook likes in your profile, that kind of stuff. Twitter as well. Twitter itself can have a range of different advantages over social media places. If you do things right in Twitter and you're willing to spend time, you can get good ranking boosts from using Twitter channels as well. If you've got a lot of followers, that kind of stuff, you can get good use in Twitter, but it's like everything, if you're not got time to spend it, it's not really a good thing to use. You should also remember, which is really important when it comes to Twitter, Twitter is kind of like anti-spam. In the sense, if you do anything robotic or spammy thing, Twitter will shut your account down very, very fast. So I would recommend, if you're going to be doing things on Twitter, do it as slow as possible or natural. If you're adding, for example, trying to get 100 people following you a day, that kind of stuff, it looks like a robot that's doing it if you do it in a short space of time. So do just for example purposes, say a max follow 10 people a day, that kind of stuff, so it looks more natural, that kind of stuff. You can also as well send traffic to your sites from Twitter quite easy as well, if you've got a big enough following. But you have to remember, so when it comes to Twitter, people generally will only reply to if you like short messages. So if you're going to be telling long stories, that kind of stuff, Twitter is probably not for you. If you've got short, catchy messages, then Twitter can be quite good for you. I don't do it in a big way, but it can be useful. So what exactly about Tumblr itself? Tumblr itself, it's just kind of an extra place you can get backlinks from. It's not going to do you really a great deal of good. Some people are very into Tumblr because you could in the past, which quite a lot of people did, was one of the tricks that people used to do in the past when it came to SEO or such an optimization was they used to actually host a lot of their PBN networks on Tumblr. The reason why they'd host on Tumblr itself is because Tumblr has a really fast server, so you could basically have it on. You could have basically, if you like, 1 million people going to your site a day, and Tumblr server wouldn't break or anything like that. That was part of the attraction for it, and it also allowed people who are in smaller budgets or simply no money for servers, they could use Tumblr's one as a starting point, and you could customize it quite easy as well. So that was part of the attraction why people used to do Tumblr in quite a big way. But that was during the time that Tumblr used to give you do follow links. I think it's still no follow at the moment, so it's not going to do you a great deal of benefit, but it's just something you should try and every so often link it. It just looks a bit natural, that kind of stuff. LinkedIn itself is more kind of like a business themed version of like Facebook or VK, that kind of stuff. So if you're going to be doing sort of business themed things, sharing your articles, that kinds of stuff, LinkedIn itself can be quite useful for you getting more traffic from it. But again, with LinkedIn itself, don't just add an assortment of random people every day. Just type in, for example purposes, say a name like Smith, and add everyone you can find called Smith in your area, that kind of stuff. You should be trying to add people who are going to have something relatable to you, something you can connect with, something you can maybe sell to them, something you can maybe work together on. But if you want to go on LinkedIn, it's all about professionalism or being friendly for you being able to get people to speak to you. But since so many people get pointless messages on LinkedIn, and even one thing that's quite bad actually LinkedIn does itself, or Microsoft through LinkedIn does, is you'll basically get something that says, I got a message from someone. So you open the message and it's just in a lot of cases some really garbage message about we're the leading business in this area or some other rubbish. I mean, for example, one of the ones I got today I thought was actually really funny was someone actually sent me a link in paid money to send me in the email a link to your website, and what made it really funny was your website's offline. So I mean, if it was any good, I might have actually bought a site, but it was just a worthless site. And when you consider people are paying money for things like that, it sort of makes you question if the issues is actual LinkedIn itself, or if the people who do it just got no sense how to advertise. And I just thought it was quite funny when I clicked the person's site, it was offline, and it has no backlinks attached at all, so it's basically worthless from a CEO value, and it doesn't even have any content on it. And she sent me quite a long email about it, and it just kind of been a bit stupid. But getting back to LinkedIn, sorry to go to it. For LinkedIn itself, you should be trying to be professional, trying to be friendly, not too salesy, that kind of stuff. You should also as well make sure when it comes to LinkedIn, you shouldn't, as soon as you add someone, say something like this: "Hey, I've got something to sell to you. I've got sweets to sell to you. I've got pets to sell to you. Whatever." You shouldn't be trying to sell to people instantly. You should be trying to make some sort of connection if you can. For example, if you're adding people on LinkedIn, read their profile. It doesn't take that long. Read their profile. Let's just say, for example purposes, the person you're adding is just wrote a book. If a person wrote a book, say something like this: "Wow, that's incredible, you wrote a book. I never realised you were the person behind it." Just something, it sounds friendly, it shows them you took an interest in reading what they do, and that's the way to do it, rather than the whole thing that a lot of people do is try and sell you all the time. And that's part of the reason for why, to be perfectly honest, quite a lot of people on LinkedIn don't actually reply or even read emails anymore, because quite a lot of people just kind of wrecked it over a too salesy or spammy approach to it. You should basically be, whenever you add someone to LinkedIn or a connection, that kind of stuff, you should at most say something like this to them. It shouldn't be a long story. It should be just something like this: "Hey, I see you run a really good software company. I was wondering if you'd be intrigued to chat more to me about how exactly you managed to create such a successful software. I'm just using an example. You could pick something else. It just shows them that you took an interest in whatever they're doing. It also tells to them that you could be their possible customer. So if you're a possible customer, that could also allow you to work together, because since you bought something from them, they then know you respect them regarding buying your software, buying whatever they're selling. So you can do things like that on LinkedIn as well. And getting down to now actual YouTube itself. See, I've actually had it twice. There it goes. YouTube itself is like everything. It's completely down to what you're willing to do for LinkedIn, for YouTube being good or bad. If you're just going to upload, say, one video a year, that kind of stuff, it's probably not going to be much good for you, unless you're doing a lot of promoting of it, things like that. If you want to do YouTube work, you should generally be uploading videos on a fairly regular basis, such as, for example, purposes once a week at most. Every second, I'd say, is a maximum you could spend without doing anything. And you want your videos overall to be something which is going to provide value to people, not just some sales video where you talk about some product or service you try and promote. Okay, so if you're promoting things, that's perfectly fine, but you want to provide value to a person for why they should actually buy whatever you're selling on it. For example, you could put down some benefit that you bought yourself. You found out that by using the software, increases your workflow rate by, say, 5%, 10%, that kind of stuff, by simply using this for an hour a day, that kind of stuff. That's just something you could use as just for example purposes. You also have to remember, when it comes to YouTube itself, you will generally get quite a low click-through rate, in a sense. If you got your website linked, you might find, just for example purposes, let's just say you got 100 people watch your video today. You got 100 people watch your video today. In quite a lot of cases, you'll actually find only actually around 1 to 2 people will actually click your video. It's not because something's wrong with your video or anything like that too much. It's just because people, when it comes to YouTube videos, they don't actually click through as much as they do on a website. That's the whole argument of why having your own website can be actually better than YouTube itself. But having a high ranking YouTube video that sends you traffic on a regular basis can be good as well. So that's just something you should think over and consider as well. Now, let's talk about VK a wee bit. I don't know everything VK. I've been more experimenting with VK quite recently. It's basically what the Russians or Ukrainian people can actually use instead of Facebook. The reason for why a lot of them like it compared to Facebook is it's generally a lot more simple to work, and a lot of them find it more fun. Plus, there's quite a lot of illegal things people upload as well. So that's the reason quite a lot of Russians or Slavic people class that VK itself is like Facebook and steroids. And a lot of them actually prefer VK as well, because it's just a lot more easier, more simple to use. Because one of the things you probably found with Facebook itself is Facebook can always, if you like, do some sort of update, and I can see sort of some of the logic behind it, but in a lot of cases, their update, it doesn't actually do anything to help the user experience. It's just basically down to making more money or make your shareholders more money. It doesn't actually help the user. But I just find with VK itself and what I was using it, it's just really a lot better. Because I mean, you see advertising here, but it's not completely in your face in a sense. everywhere you go on Facebook, you're going to see some sort of paid advertising. You don't really see it on VK as much. I may only see a couple of say paid advertising for things on VK, but if I was on Facebook and I didn't have some sort of thing to stop ads, I'd be seeing adverts all the time on Facebook, and that's one of the things you'll find quite a lot of people prefer. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making money, but if your whole purpose of it is just to show you advertising all the time, it gets kind of daunting. And I know a lot of people as well claim that Facebook's the best for paid advertising kind of stuff. Yes, you can definitely make money from Facebook advertising and stuff, but one of the things you have to remember, which is quite important, the information you're getting from Facebook is not 100% correct. In the sense, if they say, for example purposes, 1,000 people will see your advert, that kind of stuff, there's no guarantee 1,000 people actually will see your advert, because it completely depends on how much money you're willing to spend, per clicks, that kinds of stuff, or your impressions, or however you're doing it. It also as well depends if the people who are actually seeing your advert are any good, but you can definitely change it to try and make it as unique as possible, but Facebook itself, I do know for a fact, they actually employ people who actually get paid money to click your adverts. So if you consider this as well, I do know it does happen quite often. If you're paying money to basically get Facebook to pay people to click your adverts, that kind of stuff, it's not really doing you much good if you think about it. And I have seen quite a lot of research showing me that. I have tested myself. It is legitimately true. They do that some of the time, quite often. Or you'll find as well, quite often in a Facebook page, you'll find if you keep getting clicks and you never bought it, you'll find if you look over the person's profile, in a lot of cases, you'll find out the reason why that person is clicking it is because he's paid by Facebook to click your adverts, click your page, to try and make you think that your page is really good, you should pay Facebook money for likes, that kind of stuff. The best way to check if a person is real or not is, in a lot of cases, they'll generally be from a poorer country, so they'll get paid. It's meant to be something like 1 cent a click. It could have gone up, it could have gone down. But if you go through a person's profile, you'll find these things to tell you that it's probably a person paid by Facebook. If he's got a range of different pages he likes, such as a range of different things, such as say he's got porn, he's got drugs, he's got music, he basically likes anything in the world, you found a guy who's basically paid by Facebook to like pages. That's basically a giveaway showing you loud and clear that even when you do Facebook advertising, it can be quite easy that you're just paid money for people who actually work for Facebook to click your adverts. So that's something you should consider if you're thinking that Facebook's your only option. You can definitely make money from Facebook advertising, no doubt about that. You can still do okay-ish and free advertising as well. I just want to explain that to you before I go into other things. So anyway, let's get more into the foundation. Sorry if I talked too much into social media. I just want to explain it to you so you get a better idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go to directory links. Directory links, so why exactly are directory links important? Put simply, it works like this. I'm not going to get into the argument of what some people are claiming that directory links don't boost your rankings. There's so many other factors. Okay, I'm not going to get into that argument in this video. For me, directory links do work well. The reason for why directory links I find work well in quite a lot of cases is this. They basically, to a certain degree, do two main functions. They basically tell Google or other search engines this. They tell them if you want to appear in the UK part of Google, you want to part of the USA part of Google. It basically, to a certain degree, gives local reference in a sense. Which part of a search engine do you want to rank the most? That's what directory links can be. So if you try and target a UK market, then you'd have to get UK-based directory links. That's just what you're wanting to let Google know. That is actually your preference of where you want to rank into your search engine. You might decide later on you want to rank in all parts of it, so then you could get ones from all countries, that kind of stuff. But when you're starting out, you should try and pick a country where is actually the ideal customer or ideal people you want to deal with. And that's generally the correct way to do foundation links. As well, when it comes to directory links as well, I know a lot of people claim they're spam if they don't work and work and stuff. They do definitely work still. It's something that will probably work for a long time or maybe even forever. It's completely open to debate. You will also find as well, some of the time, you can actually get what we call directory links which are quite rare or quite expensive. Because they're quite rare or quite expensive, you can actually find some of the times, because you're say the only person to persons in your niche who have a link from a site, you can in some cases, if you say spend, I'm just taking the number from the top of my head, I haven't checked the specific one at the moment. Let's just say it costs $100. So you pay $100, you get a do follow backlink of a site ranking for loads of keywords. So you turns out, after a link's been indexed by them, A couple of days later, you turns out that your site's ranking for an extra 100 keywords, that kind of stuff, so you can get ranking boosts from direct to your sites itself quite easy as well. But the principle of them is basically to tell Google where you want to rank on the search engine. You want to rank as the British part, you want to rank in the Russian part, whichever country or countries you're trying to rank in. This is the whole principle behind Foundation Links itself and setting up your social media profiles and accounts, that kinds of stuff. Anyway, and that should give you basically the basic of Foundation link building as a whole. There's a few other ones you could be doing, such as Web 2.0s, you could be doing profile, but these are the main ones you'll be doing. Once you do the ones I've said before this, you can do Web 2.0s if you want to, you can do profile links if you want to, you can do guest posts or whatever links you want after that. Anyway, so thanks, bye.